Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and this is Nonfiction November, and I am here to do a review of The Confidence Men, How Two Prisoners of War Engineered the Most Remarkable Escape in History by Margalit Fox. And this was an audiobook that I listened to. And this is a book set in World War I in Turkey. Two British officers were captured and held in a Turkish prison camp. And one of the prisoners, and they were named Jones and Hill. It was Jones who was an amateur magician, and he was very good at sleight of hand. And these two men came up with a plot to escape from prison using a Ouija board. Now, the history of the Ouija board came from the late 1900s, and it's a game, and it uses the subconscious, that the mind will seek out and answer the letters when you do the questions. Now, Jones was doing all this manipulation on his own, not unconsciously, very consciously, that he could do this blindfolded. He memorized the location of the letters of the homemade Ouija board, so he could answer all the questions. And at first, Jones and Hill were doing this just for the amusement of their fellow prisoners. But it got to the attention of one of the Turkish guards, who was an interpreter, by the name of the Pimple. And they started fooling the Pimple into believing that this Ouija board was true. And then they came up with an idea that they could use this as an escape method. And the book goes into a lot of detail of how people believe, how you can sucker people in to believing these things that are blatantly not true. Now, I look at it from a distance, and I know Ouija boards are fake. But I do know that some people want to believe. And if you are a believer, you get taken in hook, line, and sinker. Once you accept that this Ouija board is telling you the truth, you are a believer. And it is very hard to become a non-believer after you believe. So they created a bunch of spirits that would talk. And these spirits were talking about a buried treasure outside of the prison camp. And they had to do it very piecemeal and very carefully. So the word would get back to the commandant of the prison camp. Now, the commandant did not want to get involved directly, because it would be very unseemly for a high-ranking officer in the Turkish army to be caught talking with these spiritualists. But this commandant started to believe in the hidden treasure. There was no treasure. This was something entirely made up by Jones and Hill. But what they did is, some prisoners got snuck in certain valuable items, like gold coins. So they slowly started getting the commandant to give permissions to have exercise routines under guard outside the prison camp. And on one of these excursions, they buried this gold coin in an old tin can with a cryptic note. So one of these seances, they had the spirits say, there is a hint and a piece of treasure in this location. So then they can get the Pimple to go out and find this can with the gold coin. Now, I'm simplifying that detail a bit. It's not purely accurate, but it's close enough. So the Pimple goes back to the commandant and says, the spirits have found this gold coin and a hint to the piece of the treasure. And after that, the commandant got hooked. And it's a very complicated scheme to get out using the spirits. It's fabulous. It's very interesting how the author brings in the psychology of how people believe in spiritualism and things in general. So I can highly recommend this book. It's also very interesting that these Hill and Jones went through all this trouble to create this method of escape through spiritualism, and then some other members of the camp just dug the old-fashioned tunnel and got out. And I guess digging the tunnel is a little more effective and produces more results. But it's totally fabulous to hear how people, once they want to believe something, will absolutely believe it. And a slight spoiler, they do get out, of course, and the pimple survives. And the pimple was writing them letters after they left prison camp. And the pimple still believed in their spiritualism, even though they admitted it was a scam. Staggering to believe that people can believe that way. But that's what people do. So I highly recommend The Confidence Men by Margalit Fox. Oh, one other little tidbit here about Ouija boards in the 19th century. Part of the reason they were so popular was that a gentleman could touch a lady's fingers on the Ouija board and not be accused of anything tawdry. Good night.